So this is the second Infoz tutorial on how to use the theme creator. So the theme creator uses layouts as a base. We'll just get rid of this. This is from the last tutorial. Themes are an object type. So you would go into themes, go to the quick select and add new theme and layout. Just ignore the logo creator layout for the meantime. Select the new theme layout. What Infoz does is it sets up a default layout for you. These purple things are the default GameX components, basically. So if you think about what's shown on GameX, you always get a list of games or pages. You always get an image, such as a game image or an image which represents a page type. You always get your menu, which are things like home, whatever, dates, etc., dates, times, weather, title. So it gives you a kind of default layout. So what you want to do is select the theme object itself and give your theme a name. We'll call this Future Retro. What that will do, you'll notice here, it's renamed the theme layouts, the associated theme layouts here. Now this at the moment is your main layout for all of your theme pages at the moment. So if we were to build this, we would basically just get this is the theme layout for all of them. One thing we can do here is if we select, so if you want to change any global settings for your theme, you would select the theme object itself. One thing you can do, for example, is you could change this is the setting of the list type for games. So you could have a text selector, a wheel selector, or an image selector. An image is kind of a wall of images, say box art, etc. So if we change that to wheel, now when we go to select a game, you'll see wheel art. What else can we do? So the other thing that that the theme creator holds is what's called a selector creator. So if we right click and do build selector, the theme creator has two kind of locations. It has a background location which is held in the Infoz folder in the kind of plugins folder. So that's kind of a staging location. So it builds things like the build selector, it builds logos and graphics into that location before it makes it live into the theme folder in the GameX folder. So you can build the selector into the user theme folder, and then you can preview it. So here we're playing it. Now what you can do, so select create, if you select the theme object itself, you can mess around with various things, such as, let's choose a different image, and bring that over here, theme images, bubbles. So now we've got a different image. We'll mess around with these. Let's change the image alpha 0.8. Let's change the background color to something really bright. And if we rebuild the build selector, there we go. So now you can see the selector is very different to what it was before. And now if we've changed the selector. Okay, now the way you build a theme to the GameX folder, once you've done your final build, once you've got things the way you want it. So just to explain something else, is if you want to build your selector as part of the full build process, you'd set this to true. basically. So each time you do your final build, the full build process, if you want the selector creating as part of that, you'd set that to true. So to do your full build to the GameX folder, you choose this one here. Now this is quite a lengthy process, so the more complicated you build, the longer it takes. This down here tells you the progress of that process. So I'll start this. I'll probably speed it up for the sakes of the video, but I'll start that process and come back once it's finished. Okay. So the themes build, the other thing Infoz does is it sets the default theme in GameX to the theme that you're currently working on. So if we launch GameX now, it should show us the theme that we're creating. And if I just so if we look at this, then the layout is as per the layout here. So you've got your menu across the top there, you've got your date and your time, you've got your weather there, you've got your list here, you've got your image here, and you've got your select line here. We go into an emulator, and we go into an emulator here. You've got your wheel here as we set in the settings. Oops. And hopefully you notice the selector as well being different. So that's the basics of, you've got your default theme showing there. So if we move to the next stage, we'll kind of talk about layers now. So layers are a little bit different in themes. So this kind of the idea of Z orders in kind of as per the layouts of Infoz are a little bit redundant, because layers in GameX themes are a bit different. There's only 3 layers. There's a background layer, there's a middle layer, which are the GameX components here, and there's a foreground layer which sits over the middle layer. So you've got background which sit behind the GameX components, you've got the GameX components, and then you've got the foreground layer which sit over the GameX components. So if we add an image, and we call this background, and what is useful to do is send that to the back. Set that to the size of your layout. And this is basically just going to be a background image for your theme. So we're just going to have a static image. And the static image means that it's just a single image. It's not going to change, basically. The other thing to do, just to introduce this, prevent click select means that when images are selected in a layout, they're brought to the fore, so you can move them about. If you prevent click select, they're not brought to the fore. You can't select them, which helps with things like background images. So I'll show you. Now I can't select it, but you can select it still in an element selector. So it just helps with kind of ease of use, really. So now you've got a background image. If we select it, you'll see here theme layer is put to background. So this will always sit behind the GameX elements. Now if you want an image to sit over the foreground, what you can do is you would add another image element, and you would what would we, let's embellishment. And we'll just pick something for this. What have we got? I'll do the watch for whatever reason. And what you would do is you would choose foreground for this. Now the other thing to notice is the difference in colours. So purple outlines are midground, i.e. middle layer. Cyan is foreground, and you can't see this so much because of the size of it, but background are green basically. Now the other way to do that, this is just to introduce the themes bar. This here lets you preview foreground and background layers only, so it isolates them. So if I were to click this paintbrush, this is showing me only foreground, which is the cyan layers. If I do background, it shows us only the background layer, which in this instance is the background. So that. This toggles the outlines on and off of each of the so it just removes the borders. This one here, this here is the media bar. Now in GameX that auto hides, so if you want to hide it, you can just click that and it will hide it. This I'll come on to in a little bit when we talk about specific layouts for systems, etc., and dynamic images. So that's foreground and background layers. So we've now got a specific layout for general pages. So the next thing to do is to talk about unique pages, kind of custom pages. So what we can do is make a custom page, and for example, say we want a custom layout for emulators. We can copy this page, so we'd go to layouts, we'd select duplicate selected layout, we'd give it a name, so we call it Future Retro Systems. Now at the moment it says layout not linked to selected theme. So what we need to do is click on our theme, and then we need to go to Systems Override, and we go to Future Retro Systems. Now if we go back to this, now we see that error message has gone. So now what we have here is a specific page purely for systems. So now what we can have is a customized page for systems only. So what we can do here, let's have a think. We'll just play around with it a bit. I'll introduce the idea of dynamic images here as well. Let's have a long list, in fact. Let's move these out the way. Right. So what we can do is we'll select this background image. Now, because we imported the systems pack, we can now turn this background image into a dynamic image. And what we can select is the system background dynamic image. And what will happen, hopefully, is when we choose different what should happen, let's go back to this. Okay, so what you do need to do with each emulator, you need to make sure you tell it which system it's linked to. And then you'll get all the system images lined up. There we are. So there we are. So that's kind of one of the basic ideas of dynamic images as well. So that will give us a list, some images. What else could we do? So obviously that's foreground, that will sit over the video. We've got a list number. You can also do dynamic text as well, which I'll just cover shortly. This is only rough and ready, so it's not going to be terribly good. So you've got some dynamic images in terms of the background and the logo. You can put in some dynamic text as well. So if we put in some system details, let's put it there. Let's give it, let's make it outlined. Give it some size. It's a bit big. Make it dynamic. And then you've got to specify what text you want in there. So you can go down to things like system displayed name. Add that. Then you can copy that. Then you can choose some different dynamic text, delete that. And the other nice thing about dynamic the dynamic system is you can add more than one type, if you like. And that's if one of the fields are blank, then it will move on to the next until it finds one which isn't blank. Let's do that. Maximum controllers. Oops, get rid of that. We don't want that twice. Maximum controllers, release year, discontinued year, units sold. And then units sold, so we can get rid of that. Units sold. Further detail. No, I don't want further details because that's a lot of text. CPU details, memory details, storage details, etc., etc. You probably want to do something like line these up. What else? The other thing you can do is for each emulator. So the scrolling text. You can just bear with me. Yeah, in the theme creator section of the emulator, you can choose what you want the scroller to be. So you can choose it to be all the text. You could be custom text. So SNES rules. Or you could choose it to be something in particular. System units sold, for example. Yeah, so there's lots of little things like that you can mess around with the creator. Anything else I need to kind of introduce at this stage? Let's make sure let's put it into, let's change it from wheel. So you've seen the wheel, we'll put it onto images for that. And I think for the moment that's it. So let's build that. So that will show you the kind of foreground, background facility. That'll show you different pages for systems as opposed to the main page. So if we build that, we'll go to the theme. Oh, the other thing to show you is you can replace various assets. So you can basically change various things like the font, of course. So these are the main properties that you could change in the existing theme editor. So we can change the font. So if we change it to something, let's have a look. What should we change it to? Eros. No, let's change something a bit better than that. Kristen. And what size? 22. The only thing to watch out for in this is don't let it be a point. Make sure it's a full integer, because that will mess up GameX. And let's change title text to American Captain. So you can change the font, you can change all those kind of things, but you can also change these assets as well. So for example, if I was to change start intro from Pac-Man, if we were to change it to the digital watch, and So you can change it like that. That's one means you can do it. Or you can right click on Future Retro and you can open Media Folder. And then you can see all, this is the background folder. So there you can see start intro back. So you can change the files directly within the backing folder, basically, if you want to do it that way. What else? And you don't have to always go through the full build either. You don't always have to go through the build theme. If you've made some changes to the media, you can build media to GameX. So I'll show you if I do that. And if I were to start GameX now, what you'll see is it will start up with the digital watch rather than the Pac-Man, basically. So you only really need to do a full build, i.e. build theme, when you've made layout changes. What else can you change? You can change taskbar images. You can also change sounds as well. So you could change focus. So that's changed. You can change select. So that's changed. And again, you can just build media. And if we were to launch that again, now you'll hear the change, that the sounds have changed. So that just shows you that you can make changes. You can do the same. You can build a selector to get straight to GameX. You don't always have to go through the build theme. But if you make changes to layouts, then it's always wise to kind of build theme. And if you want a final product, it's always better to build theme. So if we build the theme to show all this kind of different kind of layouts, again, this one will take some time because it's lots of different layouts. So we'll do that. What I just want to do is, it's always wise just to preview everything by just going through it. One thing I didn't explain before we do is this facility here lets you show dummy data in the theme. Nope. Which is always helpful. That just kind of lets you visualize how it's going to look. So you just need to select a system and then a game. So yeah, it just helps you visualize how it's going to look. And what's the other thing I haven't covered? These are just kind of, if you do that, that will show you how kind of outline text looks as well. So yeah, that just gives you some dummy data. It gives you an idea how it's going to look on your machine. So yeah, so we'll build. We'll build the theme now. You'll see this operating here. I'll speed up the speed up the build rather in the final video. Okay, so that's the build completed. Let's run it and see how it's come out. So yeah, so you can see the background in place. You see the fonts changed. What else? Yeah, it's probably about. Oh, you got the overlay, so the foreground as well. So yeah, if we go to emulated games, and if we go into Atari, there you go. So you can see that it's a different layout. So you've got now that's a mistake in my layout. So I bet I haven't set that that graphic there to foreground. That's probably going to be set as background. But you'll notice there's a different layout. So the graphics, the two images are set either side. Sometimes this happens. If you are to run the layout again, this would come out as Atari. It's just a bug. This will come out as Atari 2600. You'll notice there's a wall view for the images. Yeah. So if we go into Sony PlayStation, that gives a different background again. And if we go into SNES, a different background again. So yeah, the only that will be a foreground if we were to recreate it. So we'll come out of it. We'll go into, yeah. So if you have a look, that's green. If you look there. So that means that will be set. It is there. So it's set to background. So if we set that to foreground, that will fix that. Okay. So the next thing to quickly show is core pages. So core pages are preset pages in GameX, things like DVD, Daphne, jukebox, karaoke, and things like this. So we can set up core pages as well. I'm just going to quickly just copy the Future Retro Systems page. So if we duplicate this page, now what I'm going to do is just change this to core. I'm going to change this dynamic image here, and instead of system logo Chrome, I'm going to change that to theme or page image. We need to link it to the theme as well. So if you remember, go back to the theme, select the theme object, and we select the cores override image property here, and then we select the relevant layout. And now in the layout, the error's gone. So back on the image, select the dynamic image list. We've got theme core page image. Now, if we go here, so there we go. If we select each of these objects here, this gives us the relevant image for the core page. There are different images. Well, there's one or two for these. A bit beyond this tutorial, but they're gleaned from I think is it here? Yeah, Open Images folder. So there's different sets of these images. You can replace these sets with your own images, as long as you maintain the file names. You can just straight replace these, and then you can have your own images for these core pages, or core page images rather. So this will give you, this will kind of automatically give you a set of images for your core pages. The other thing you can do is set up, let's just delete these, and we'll change this to dynamic text from whatever it is at the moment, and we'll change that to theme core page display name. And there you go. So it will now display whatever the display name, whatever the core page name is. You might want to change your background to something else. You will want to, rather. We can change that just for the sake of just for the sake of demonstration, let's change it back to a static image. And let's change that to just something that'll do. There we go. And that's, you've set up a separate kind of core page basically. So that's core pages. So you now got separate core pages, systems pages. What else is there? Lastly, now logos. So logos are the things that correspond with each of the pages. So if we open the media folder. So at the moment, actually, if I close this and we just start GameX. So this is a logo here. That's a logo. That's a logo. That's a logo, etc., etc. That's all a bit of a mishmash at the moment of kind of hodgepodge of different kind of logos. And if you open the media folder, they all sit in this logos folder, and as you can see, they're all a bit of a hodgepodge of things from the default theme. So Infoz has what's called a logo creator, and that's this layer that was created at the start, basically. So again, it works on a layouts kind of principle and a dynamic images kind of principle. So what you need to do is select a size for your logos, something suitable. So I'm just going to make that 400 by 400. Import an image. I'll have a static background image. Then we're going to have a dynamic image. And we'll have this as a dynamic image. Now let's set this up for, so we're going to have this both as a systems dynamic image and as also as a core page dynamic image. So we're going to have a system photo, and we're also going to have what's called a core logo image, not a page image, but a logo image, because there is a difference. There's more logo images than there's more core logos than there are core pages. So that's an important thing to remember. So now we've got that. We'll give it a drop shadow as well. Now we can preview that by going through these. As you can see, it gives us all the different kind of ways that will look. If you select different emulators, it will give you how those look. Oh, main, we haven't set it up with an associated system, so you just need to find that. There we go. Give it some text as well. Add some text. Again, same kind of principle. Let's make the image a bit smaller because it's a bit much. Text. We're going to make this outlined white, dynamic. We're going to make it bottom aligned. center aligned, and we want it to be either the system name text, system displayed name, or we want it to be theme core logo display name. Again, not the page, but the logo display name. Now, the other thing you want to do is take off prefix text for this. Show the outline so you can preview it. Need that a bit bigger. That'll do. Why is that still previewing? Oh. Okay. Still a bit more. That'll do. Okay, so, and if we preview the logos, something quite long. Oh, that's good. Okay. So there we go. So there's your logos. Again, you can build them straight to the folder. So if we do to use a folder, and again, this will show the progress of the build. Okay, and so now that's done, we can open the folder. Oops. If we open logos, you can see there's a lot more consistency, basically. Yeah, and we can do the same straight to GameX. If we launch GameX, so build medias to GameX. I'll tell a lie. What we'll do is we'll build the theme basically to GameX, because that will also show us the repaired system pages and also the new core pages as well, but also the it also shows the new logos basically. Okay, so build done. Let's see how it's built. Okay, so the home screen is actually a core page. So you can see the logos. Logo creator has worked, so you can see all the logos now a bit more uniform. So if we go into, for example, multimedia, you can see that they're a lot more uniform. Let's check the so it also builds the custom system logos. Yeah, so you can now see that the system graphic here, the system image, sits over any images. So that does sit over the top. That's also sorted itself out as well. Let's check the snares. Yeah, so all good there. And also note the scroller. For God's sake. Also note the scroller. For God's sake. So the scroller as well. Doesn't want for that. Let's check the PlayStation. So this is the scroller, which is kind of scrolls all the information regarding the system, basically. So I think that's probably about it regarding themes. There's probably other stuff, but I'm sure you'll figure it out, basically. So that's about it, really. Play around with it, see how you get on. Try not to break it, although I'm sure it's probably really easy to break. Yeah, have fun. I hope it's helpful. Cheers.